My name is Jen Prasick, and I am the Director of Community Initiatives at Sanford Research, and I am the project manager for the Community Engagement and Innovation Division within the CRCAIH program. So it is my pleasure today that I get to introduce the presentation, A Collaboration of Partners in Developing and Implementing a Community Research Conference, Engaging Lakota Communities, Defining Your Role in American Indian Research. Research conferences provide a platform to bring together communities interested in a common theme in order to inform, begin discussions, and set future direction for research needs. Today's presentation will discuss the two community-based conferences that were designed to showcase the current and recently completed research conducted on two reservations here in South Dakota. The proposed aims of this project and resulting two community-based conferences were, one, to provide information and dissemination of research projects currently conducted on the Pine Ridge Reservation and the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe Reservation, and the role of the Tribal Research Review Board, and two, to provide relationship-building opportunities for researchers to meet with tribal leaders and community members to discuss Oglala Sioux Tribe and Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe's research agendas. And our three speakers are behind me, and the first one is Dr. Victoria Grayall, who is an Abenaki Seneca and an associate scientist in the Center for Health Outcomes and Prevention Research at Sanford Research. She is also the director of the Community Engagement and Innovation Division. She received her PhD in nutrition science at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and she has collaborated with tribal nations in Montana, Wyoming, and North and South Dakota, as well as Minnesota. Elizabeth Belt is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, and she joined the Collaborative Research Center for American Indian Health in October of 2013 and is the Oglala Sioux Tribe's Research Review Board coordinator. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Mass Communication and Journalism with a specialization in advertising and public relations, along with a minor in Business Administration from the University of South Dakota. Karen Littlewounded is an enrolled member of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. She got her degree in business management from Chetonkan University and has been an adjunct instructor at the Oglala Lakota College Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe campus for approximately 9 years. So I'm going to pass it over to Victoria Grayall.
Thank you, and good morning. And I must say with strong heart, I hope, that I do feel the love and the joy and the hope by what we've accomplished with our research conferences and with our first tribal partners in having them conduct their first research conference. So I hope that we can share with you some key resources on how to identify some planning and implementing skills, and we also want to share with you the perspective that each of the tribes and conducting their research conference was able to accomplish. So, okay, is it this one? So, like with all good things, we brainstorm. And so Seed and CRCAIH kind of got together as they're getting ready for what they're going to do for year 3. And one of those things is trying to help support a research conference by our initial tribal partners. So like good researchers that we are and librarian techniques, we go online and look at .gov and try to find out if there's any funding available for anything that we're trying to do. And we lucked out. NIH had a support for conferences and scientific meetings. And it's a 1-year grant that follows the standard cycle for funding. And so we're, looking at the calendar, saying, okay, how are we going to organize this? And what we wanted to do is to showcase these two tribes and the accomplishments that they made. So we wanted it to tie in with our summit for this year. And so here we are. So in doing that, then we had to get organized and see if we had our partners that were interested in that, and they did agree to wanting to be involved and actually do the conferences. And so with them, then we asked them and us to put together a working group that we could go and meet the deadlines for the grant submission. And so this is the organizing subcommittees that were developed for the conference proposal. The specific aims, and Jen had just briefly went over them as well, is that the three things that we wanted to project in those conferences is the dissemination of the research to the tribal members in each of those communities. And so we wanted the researchers to have that chance to share their data with the tribal members and have an avenue for them to have a dialogue with tribal members, to ask questions, and to perhaps begin another dialogue of what's next. The second thing was, or the other thing was to incorporate students, high school, middle school, as well as the tribal college, and any universities that our tribal members were attending, and to see if they could even bring back, if they were conducting any research, to share with their tribal members. So the main key things that we had to get together at that point in time and was heavily relied on is for OST and Cheyenne River to get these things put together. And that was identifying a location in the community where the conference could be held, the keynote speakers or speakers that they wanted to invite and to present their information, the agenda to be submitted to the in the grant, as well as a budget and their conference title. So most of that planning went on, and thanks to our grants management office at Sanford, we were able to organize all of those materials in terms of putting the grant together. And I think the thing is that this was probably very key and very important, as not only for this for this NIH grant, but for any grant or planning that you're doing with your wanting to get that conference together. Is these are the key areas that at least a year ahead of time try to get that. But if you're thinking more broadly or a larger venue, then I'd say 2 years would probably be when you should really start to plan. And this was the agenda that was submitted with our grant. It was modified once we actually got the funding, and that's the natural course of things that happen. We lose. Sometimes speakers have things that come up and they can't fulfill their commitment that they had given earlier. And it's hard. I don't know about you, but I have struggles day to day trying to remember what I've got to do tomorrow, let alone a year from now. And I think Wyatt is right now one of my key timekeepers, because I think we have another presentation in a few weeks, and he had to remind me that I had committed 6 months ago. So that's a thing that happens. So the grant was submitted, and like right now, I'm taking a deep breath, because I think that once all those paperwork, the deadlines are met, that's all you can do is just take that deep breath and say, it's gone. Enter, and it's done, and then you hope no error messages come up. But everything went fine. So kind of in a summary, I just want to say that not even after this grant, but even during when you're writing a grant or planning your conferences, start making lists and timelines. Really get that calendar out and figure out those dates, because I'm not kidding you, I'm one of these, I'm looking at 2014, and 2015 is when the conference, but what are the dates I'm remembering to put in? May 9th and March 20th instead of March 18th and May 7th because of the year change. So just simple things can get you confused sometimes. And keep your working groups tight with you, even when it's sent and gone. Keep them in the loop about what the status is and things, and then think about what kind of things are going to be needed that you need money for that the grant is not going to pay for. And you always have to remember that you may not get the grant, and are you still having the conference? or can you build it up another way and start planning in those issues? But some of the things that this grant was not funding was food and beverages. And so we were able to get the donation of Sanford Research. Dr. Pierce, our president of research, was able to commit for us the main meal for the conferences. Also scholarships for travels or awards or anything that you might want to do that doesn't focus exactly into what you wrote up in the grant. It might be an afterthought or something like that. But think about what other areas that you might need support in your community in order for their participation. Swag, those nice gift bags, the pencils, the pens, those things were not covered by this grant. So how are you going to get your swag? So you might have to look at some extra money or some donations from maybe other entrepreneurs or businesses in your community or outside your community that can share or give that information. And then any type of entertainment or speakers that did not you did not consider maybe when you were doing your grant. And again, like I said, prepare as if it will be funded or not funded, and have your plan B kind of working all along as you're praying and watching ER Commons as to what the status is of your project. Remember, there's other mini grants that might be out there that you can utilize for your conferences, and your providers of services, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, if those are organizations that you want to help support your program, they have that. Walmart, Target. You might look at what their guidelines are for giving and for supporting, and see what their window is in terms of when they need to have a proposal or a mini request put in, because sometimes you might miss it if you do it too late in the year. A lot of times they have a yearly turnaround time before they have that funding. The other way of getting financial support would be like consider vendor tables and asking for a donation in terms of supporting the conference, or actually have a rental fee. Then again, I can't if you're in a different. All our organizations, have one or two staff, except for CRCAIH's main office and that. But for them, it was truly a community effort of heart, and I think that that was what made me feel so good, and why I have such hope for our communities and such joy for them, because the amount of energy and support that they put out to have a conference, to have their own conference in their community, was just very uplifting for me. Social media. Now, I'm not the person to talk about social media, but I'll tell you, I think it's a blessing for our communities and for the type of work that we're trying to do in terms of developing partnerships and strengthening our community support. Also, send out your requests early if you want to have poster sessions. I think poster sessions have been one of the best ways at a conference for that one-to-one connection between the community tribal member and the researcher. By looking at those, I think those discussions, those new ideas can come in, and what we need sometimes to do is maybe have a better way to capture that in terms of having maybe some kind of, you have to sit down before you leave the poster session and what your ideas or what you think needs to be done next in our community, and that, again, get it on Facebook, as some people will say, and get that information of request out for those abstracts and posters and speakers as early in the process. I think sometimes that can then help set and coalesce the theme that you want to portray in your conference. And so now I'd like to introduce the key women who have been instrumental in getting these research projects, conferences off the ground and being very successful. I'd like to introduce first Karen Littlewounded. She's with Oglala Lakota College at Cheyenne River, and she was our assistant for the conference. So thank you.
Yani washte, Karen Littlewood and Imachep na washte ematahan. I was the intern for Missouri Breaks, hired to coordinate the symposium. We called it the symposium. And it was a challenge. I was hired at the end of January, so I had 7.5 weeks to coordinate the symposium. And it was awesome. But we had a great team to work with and collaborated together with a lot of organizations, so that was really helpful. Again, it originated from an incentive from CRCA. It was supported by our current chairman, Fraser. He was our keynote speaker at the symposium. So he's also employed with Dr. Henderson's Black Hills Center for American Indians, so that was really helpful. We had several organizations, such as the college, where we held the symposium. We had the 4 Bands Healing Center, Denise Casillas on board, who was also a speaker. We had Tribal Ventures, Eileen Briggs, who was very creative. And we also had Marcia at Missouri Breaks and her staff working with us. So it was really a collaborative effort, and with Sanford. Let me see. Okay. So in order to get that accomplished in 7.5 weeks, we did mailings, we did newspapers, we utilized social media, Facebook. I came to know about the boosting power of Facebook for your events, and it just immediately grew. So that was really helpful. We had school contacts, university partnerships. We had donations from tribal and community support. We had an interview on SDPR. Joseph Rochetta and Marshall were interviewed about the symposium. It was an awesome interview. And again, we utilized our local media to market the symposium. We did have several activities. We had the high school poster competition and also the college. It was very well received. However, because of the short amount of time, we had not as many entries as we hoped to be. A lot of the schools in the area were preparing for other competitions that were going to be held in May, so they weren't quite ready yet. We did have a competition for the community, trying to get the community involved. So we had the top 5 reasons why research is important in your community. We had award ceremony and evening feast at the end of the symposium. We had 130 attendees attending the symposium. We had colleges from NSU, from Minnesota, from North Dakota attend. We had pre and post surveys. We had adult surveys done. And let me see. Here's a few pictures from the high school poster board display. Robert Puyer from the Red Cloud High School won the high school competition. And Chairman Fraser there awarding the students at the end of the day. We had a very powerful agenda. I thought the content was really powerful, really interesting. Currently editing the video right now, so it'll be some time before it's done, but it's really awesome. I can tell you that right now. We had CC Big Crow, we had Joseph Rochetta as our MC, we had Dr. Jeff Henderson, we had Dr. Lyle Best, we had Denise Casillas, we had Marshall Larry, we had Eileen Briggs, we had Chairman Fraser, We also had, and I don't have a picture of him up there, but in our local area, we have a youth group that had just originated. It's called One Mind Youth Movement. And currently they're doing some research on the fluoride in the water on the Cheyenne River Reservation. So he presented to the group as well. In addition, we had at the lower corner, her name is Linda Black Elk. She's from the Sitting Bull College up in North Dakota. And she wanted to come down and do a presentation on traditional plants. So we did that during the lunch hour. And it was very well received and very well attended. So, again, a little bit about the high school student poster display contest. Although one student didn't, win the competition, she took the positive feedback from the judges, and revised her poster and went on to win a state competition. So we're really proud of that. I provided the link to the interview that Marcia and Joe gave with the STPR radio station. If anybody wants to listen to it, it's really awesome. And that's about it. That's all I have. It was an awesome symposium. We're getting ready for next year. It will be held at the college again. So we're writing for funding for that. So it was really good, and if anybody wants to participate in next year, just contact Missouri Breaks and see what we can do with you all. So, Wopila.
Hi everybody again. My name is Elizabeth Belt. I'm from OST. Yesterday I didn't get a chance to tell everybody this, but it was really good to see all the people who I have weekly conference calls with in person for once. So I just wanted to tell you guys that. Our conference happened on May 7th. It was called the No Longer Dreaming Your Role in Native American Research, and this was our awesome logo, drawn by one of our local tribal members. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was Victoria mentioned our working groups, and we had very dedicated and active working groups. We also had a lot of help from the RRB. I think I had an advantage over Cheyenne River by being the RRB coordinator, so I was able to persuade our RRB members to be speakers, along with a lot of the PIs that came back and spoke at the conference too, because Maria and Alicia at the time were both doing research projects on the reservation. Another big part in our conference was having a conference assistant. So I don't know, a lot of you don't know, I'm a one-man team down in Pine Ridge, so it was a real big help. I wanted to just give a shout out to two of our RB members who are here at the conference. So we have John Haas and Alicia Musso, and they were also speakers at the conference. They did a lot of help with planning for our agenda, the venues, speakers, meals. I mean, just like anything. If we needed an emergency meeting, we'd send out an email or text, and we'd have a real quick meeting with our working group. They're always readily available. This is a list of things that we've done to plan and implement our conference. And one of the first things that we had to do was write a resolution through our tribe. And we all know how long it takes to get a resolution through the tribe, so that was our lengthiest process, I think. But once we got that, everything else fell in place. I think we had a really good advantage too, like Victoria said, because we planned way ahead of time our agenda, our speakers, so everything was a lot of just reconfirming. I'm not going to say everything flew like gravy, because it didn't. We had issues with stuff with the tribe, of course. We had a last-minute cancellation with one of our meals that we had to go out. Like, I swear it was maybe 2 days before our conference, and we had to hurry up and get something else going. We literally drove the entire reservation, except for Wambui, in one day to hang out flyers in every community. That was awesome. There's places I've never been that I actually went to. Tons and tons of emails. I'm probably like Emily, I flooded everybody's emails for about a month. We did collaborations with our OST childcare program, Keeley, Oglala, Lakota College, and Health Administration. Our actual event took place at the Boys and Girls Club. It's a beautiful building. I don't know how many of you have been there, but they have an awesome place. We had about 70 attendees, and 52 of them were tribal members. I don't believe we had any high school students. I wish that we could have, maybe next time. We actually had to juggle our agenda too, because there were speakers who weren't available on the day, but if you were there, you would not know that the agenda was even juggled, so that was awesome. It went really well, and we were able to give out a survey at the end. And if you completed our survey, we had some swag, so we had these really cool black t-shirts that we gave out. I should have brought one, but I didn't. It had the logo on it. It was pretty nice. So in summary, like, one of the focuses of our conference was just to introduce research to our community members, and I think we did an awesome job at that. We had a handful of our PIs that came to our conference too, so that was good for the community to actually engage on one-on-one with our PIs. But I think some things that we could have done different was find ways to involve the younger people. I think some of the presentations were more geared towards our younger crowd and our community members. And also our poster session was like one of the, I think, the best parts of our conference, because it was actually a way that our community members were able to meet the PIs and talk with them, and I think that we're probably going to use that for further dissemination with the research projects that go forward. And that's it. I said some other stuff yesterday, so a lot of it felt like I'm repeating.
So you can see it takes a lot of work. And I think the biggest thing is that whole issue of planning ahead. And so in summary, I just want to kind of reiterate that, is that we can't do it without people. And their heart and dedication that comes from just enjoying the work that they do, I think it's expressed in whatever kind of work that's performed. And I can't, I love you guys, as they say. So, develop strong working groups to meet the needs of the research conference. Plan and start early, because there's always going to be some kind of glitch somewhere in the world that affects you. And just go forward. Don't give up. And you know, I don't know. My elders have always said, just take a deep breath, keep your calm, and just keep moving, you know. And so I think a lot of times that really helps, although sometimes it takes about a month later to pick up on that again and maybe start again, but it's in there. And then just remember, the financial and the human resources are two key elements that if you're thinking about a conference, think in your head, who can I work with? Who do I know that can help move this? Who's available? And then just kind of go through your list and identify who those key stakeholders are going to be that can help move this conference, and who has the buy-in. I mean, I think in each of these communities, if you talk to the people that have participated, they saw a value in terms of having this research conference. They found it in terms of how their programs could be best represented in the community through this event, and they also found a way that they could share with each other and talk with each other about what their communities are doing and how they're moving forward. And then again, the financial. It's if you know people that have a good knack for getting funding, know people who know people who know people. You know, keep those doors open and information sharing going, because I think those bases are very important. And again, I want to thank you for your time, and I hope that I help to motivate all of you to think about having a research conference if you haven't had one already. So thank you.